Now joining me is Ann Larkina to talk about her class at the upcoming Illustrator Virtual Summit. Thanks for joining me, Ann. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. So in the summit, we like to have a range of classes from beginner through more experienced, but one of the sessions you're doing is definitely aimed at beginners, called Illustrator Struggles Every Beginner Has and How to Fix Them. So what kind of things will we be looking at in that session?
Well, my plan for that is to have 6 sections. First off, I want to cover something that I personally struggled with when I was a new user. And that was, you get in there in Illustrator and you be working and your panels are just kind of completely unorganized. They're all over the place. And so I wanted to definitely touch on that and show how to arrange things and then save that workspace. So if things get out of order, you can just reset the workspace and get back to your original way of having everything organized. So that's one thing. The second thing is masks. Masks were so confusing to me when I first started out. So I want to show how to use them, how to release them, how to move the stuff inside the mask around without moving the mask itself, and then vice versa, moving the mask without moving the stuff inside around. And then also I wanted to cover how to make a drawing and change that into a mask. So it's sort of, something you created instead of something Illustrator has a shape for or whatever. So I'll show how to do that too. The fourth thing is making selections, because the faster you can make selections in Illustrator, the faster you will become, because the hardest thing is, clicking on things you don't want to click, figuring out how to get the things you want without getting the things you don't want.
Right.
So one way to do this is with outline mode, and I'll show how to do that. You can also select by color. I'll show you just a few different ways to handle making selections. The fifth thing is about color, actually. So colors can be a little weird at first when you don't understand, how swatches work. And I want to just simplify that. Sometimes you have all these swatches that you don't want in your swatches panel. Sometimes you have, it's empty. You only have black and white and you want to add swatches. And then Adobe Color has a lot of swatches that you can actually download as a starting point for your own projects. So I'm going to show how to use Adobe Color too. And then the last thing is combining and distorting shapes. So this will cover how to use the Pathfinder, how to use the shape builder, punching shapes out, also warping them with the warp tools. So that is basically the class in and of itself. It's all those struggles. And I missed one. I think I missed one. The workflow killers. And actually, if you're a VIP member, you'll be able to have like a cheat sheet for these. So
nice.
This will be like, you're working along, you hit something, and bam, all your panels are gone. Or in the text, like in your text, you have all these little blue dots and stuff. And you're like, what is this? So this is all those things that just make you stop and take 30 minutes to figure out
the mysterious things you can't figure out.
Yes, how to get it back to what it was. So yeah, this class is just all the things that I can remember when I was new, how to fix them, how to like get past all these things and continue working and being creative.
And I know for people, a lot of people start off with some other program like, say, Photoshop, and they think that they can transfer a lot of the skills, but things like you mentioned, like selecting, is so different that it's not even really the same at all. So understanding the differences of how to do things like selecting and masking are completely different than what you may be used to if you're coming specifically from the Photoshop side of things.
Yes, I think Photoshop is so layer based. And in Illustrator, I don't use my layers. I mean, I have a few uses for those, but most of the time that panel isn't even open.
Yeah.
It's more selection based. So that's,
exactly.
Going back to making selections, that is so important for your workflow.
Yeah, for sure. I can't remember who it was. I remember many years ago talking to someone Illustrator, and they said if you understand how anchor points work, so much everything else kind of gets easier from there, because that basically determines everything you do next. Whatever you're doing next in Illustrator is based on what anchor points you have selected or not selected.
Yep, that's totally true.
All right, and your other class is typography magic in Illustrator. So tell us a little bit about the kind of things you're going to talk about in that session.
In that class, I really want to focus on the tools that Illustrator has that make messing with type easier. So, in the first part, I'm going to be talking about how to bounce text. And there's a tool that's specific to that, and that is Touch Type. And I don't think too many people know about this. So, I'm going to show you how to use it, how each part works, and then you'll actually make a project, a greeting card that will show you how to bounce type. And the point of bouncing type is to add playfulness.
Mm-hmm.
So that tool works so well for that. And I'll also show you how to add flourishes with the pen tool, the width tool, and then actually most of that is with live type. But after you outline your type, you can do a whole lot more things, like use the puppet warp tool to bend things around and rotate them. And Illustrator just has a ton of really great tools for that. The second part will actually be making a sporty t-shirt design. I spent many years at a t-shirt design company, so I've learned so much there, and I want to share it with all the listeners out there. For that, I'll be making an appearance. So you can kind of layer your text and get a whole bunch of different pieces, and it's all one type path. You can save that as a graphic style and then apply it to other text or shapes. And so I want to go over how that works. We'll also be kind of outlining and combining text so that it's all one piece, and then adding a swoosh. There's just a whole lot going on in that class.
Now, is this class intended for people who are just starting out with type, or is it for basically anyone who wants to see things they can do with type in Illustrator?
I would say it's mostly for beginners. I always try to, actually, every time I'll explain how to get to a tool, how to jump from tool to tool, and we use a ton of keyboard shortcuts. And I'll also have a keyboard shortcut cheat sheet for this class and the other class that tells you all the tools and how to get to them and everything like that. So that's for VIP members only.
Perfect. Yeah, it's always nice to mention the fact that VIPs do get an extra little bonus beyond just the fact, of course, of the class recording. But those classes sound great. It's nice to have sessions that people who are just starting out can feel like someone is listening to them and addressing the fact, like you said, the things are like, why is this happening, or how do I overcome this, or what are the key things I need to know? And I think it sounds like you're covering those a lot in these sessions. So that's great.
Thank you. I'm trying to.
Awesome. Well, thanks for taking a few minutes to chat about your classes.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.